This case study is about Washington, D.C.'s National Capital Urban Design and Security Plan 2002. On September 11, 2001, Washington was the subject of a major terrorist attack on one of its most prestigious and historic buildings, the Pentagon. Following 9/11, America initiated widespread securitization of key buildings, which prioritized the security of buildings over social, economic, aesthetic, and transport considerations. These methods were widely criticized as intensifying public insecurity and fear while having incredibly negative impacts on urban access and amenity. The Design and Security Plan seeks to address these knee-jerk reactions of hypersecuritization that arose from September 11 by balancing the pursuit of innovative technology and design solutions aimed at safeguarding the city's citizens, national buildings, monuments, and civic spaces while maintaining the city's key values of accessibility, openness, and civic beauty. The Design and Security Plan outlines 6 key goals, which underpin all of the measures in the plan. As you can see, these goals are focused on ensuring a balance between perimeter security and enhancing streetscape and public amenity. The Design and Security Plan provides a number of design solutions for building perimeter security. To consider the appropriate design solution for the subject area or building, the plan requires a risk analysis to be undertaken, which identifies the security threat and the level of protection required. Following the risk assessment, a protection level will be assigned to the area of building. This status will be based on a number of factors such as symbolic importance, critical nature of operations, consequences of attack, and surrounding site conditions. The Design and Security Plan then specifies a number of streetscape design solutions that are referable to the level of risk to the area or building. These design solutions include streetscape elements that also incorporate security components, for example, wall and fences, planters, bollards, and hardened street furniture such as light posts and seating. These solutions must respond to the contextual area and reflect the area's planning, urban design character, and security requirements. The objective of the design solution is to use the streetscape elements for a dual purpose, being for the amenity of the area but also as a physical building perimeter security. The use of these solutions for a dual purpose ensures cost effectiveness. There has been much positive commentary on the alternative security measures that arise from the Design and Security Plan. However, it is clear that these design solutions have not completely overtaken the traditional fortification methods, which are still used on some buildings, as demonstrated in this slide. As you can see, these traditional methods, when compared to the innovative solutions in the Design and Security Plan, have substantial negative impacts on the surrounding environment. A survey of attendees at the National Independence Day celebration at the National Mall in Washington, which draws between 500,000 to 1 million people annually, showed the general discontent with the highly visible security and fortification infrastructure used. This study is demonstrative of the negative impact that hypersecuritization and visible fortification infrastructure has on public amenity and the public's feeling of positivity in public open spaces. The City of Sydney should consider the case study of Washington when considering how it wants to implement securitization methods. Sydney and Washington are similar in many ways. For example, both cities have similar race demographics with a highly multicultural society. For example, in Sydney, 60% of the population are born in Australia, with 40% born overseas. In Washington, 77% of the population are white, 11% Hispanic or Latino, 7% Asian, and 5% other. These also have similar age demographics, with a high proportion of the population being under the age of 50 years old. Washington both have extremely unequal distributions of wealth, with a high proportion of extremely low income earners and a high proportion of high income earners. There are also many similarities between the respective cities' aspirations. Sydney 2030 represents Sydney's goals about the type of city it wants to be, that is green, global, and connected. This can be compared to Washington's Design and Security Plan, which objectifies to be an open city which retains its public spaces but is also aesthetically pleasing and retains its big city vitality. Sydney wants to remain Australia's global city. It also wants to continue to be a strong vocal point for community life and encourage a sense of belonging. The Sydney 2030 snapshot focuses on the importance of festivals and events in Sydney, noting that it hosts some world-famous events, as we can see from this slide, and the importance of these events to the local economy and the culture of Sydney. To reach these goals, Sydney must implement counter-terrorism measures. Recent research has demonstrated that terrorism principally concerns places of mass gatherings, transport hubs, sports stadiums, and also public open spaces. Similarly, as demonstrated in Washington's Design and Security Plan, Washington also wants to find that balance between a secure city but an open, accessible city, which is also aesthetically pleasing. Washington's Design and Security Plan demonstrates the ability of a city's planning framework to implement appropriate risk assessment and implement coordinated design and security measures to address and mitigate risk in public open spaces. The planning framework must be aware and sensitive to the impact of fortress architecture and address these impacts by fusing design principles with risk assessment and security measures. This integration will require the coordination of all levels of government, but there is no reason why this integration of security measures and design principles cannot be implemented at the local level.